Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Guys at Magic. This is Hunter, David, Steven, and Shane. Say what up, boys.
Yo, what's up?
Hello.
What's up, nerds?
We are back. This time, we are taking a look at all of the legendary creatures from the main set of Murders at Karlov Manor. That's right, there are 25 brand new legendary creatures that are coming out of this set, and we're going to go ahead and break down each one, talk about them as a potential helm of the deck. That's right, as a commander. Are they good? We'll let you know. And based on our opinions, we'll give them a grade. At the very end, we'll give them an average grade. So, without further ado, we can go ahead and start. But I just want to remind everybody to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel in case you haven't done so already. You don't want to miss out on any of the cool content we have going on. So, we'll start with these monocolored ones first and then jump into the multicolored. Not a lot of the monocolored ones, but the first one right here is Delney, Streetwise Lookout. It's 2 and a white for a 2/2 legendary creature human scout. It says creatures you control with power 2 or less can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. And it says if an ability of a creature you control with power 2 or less triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. Shane and David, I believe you both put this in your guys' upgrade when we did the precons. You guys are both pretty high on this card. We'll start with David. David, what do we think of Delney?
As a support card, I think that she's fantastic. As a commander, however, I'm actually not as high on her. I think that the pseudo unblockable-esque thing it's a neat little trick. And I love the second ability of the card, but I do think that it is probably a little bit more restrictive than what it originally just kind of reads as, and I love having access to more than just mono white.
Yeah, I was gonna say the exact same thing. It's just the mono white part of it for me. I get it that I love the ability of her, and she went perfectly in the upgrade that I did, but it was more of like the same thing he said. Felt more like a support piece rather than I didn't want her at the helm. I wanted her to be helping me win or try to win.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. It is a fantastic support piece, and that's probably why the price of this card is still hovering around $20. Um, but it could be a fun commander. Having a kind of what is that, Panharmonicon-esque kind of in the command zone with creatures powered 2 or less. That's cool.
Yeah, doubling triggers can be good.
Mm-hmm.
Why not just rock with Gandalf?
I mean, you could. Sure.
And he's got Flash.
Ooh.
Flash.
I mean, my complaint is all of the best creatures that I want to put with Delney aren't in white.
Like what? What would you put in Delney?
I mean, Dockside Extortionist would be fantastic, but you can't do that because that's red.
Okay, good point. Good point.
I feel it, man.
Steven, do you have anything else to add to this card?
I mean, no, you guys pretty much said everything I was thinking. I mean, this card is great in, the 99 of a deck. I'm not a big fan of it at the helm of the deck.
I gotcha. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the grades for Delney. David, kick us off.
I'm going to give her a C.
I'm gonna probably be middle of the road with you too, David. I'm gonna give her a C.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with the both of you. It is a C from me as well.
I'm going to jump down to a D. I think at the helm of a deck, this card isn't where I want it to be, and it's very restrictive on what things I want to put in the deck.
Yeah, it's fair. Delney, Streetwise Lookout, gets the average grade of a C. Moving on to the mono black cards, we have Massacre Girl, Known Killer. It's 2 and 2 black for a 4/4 legendary creature human assassin. It's got menace, and it says creatures you control have wither. In case you don't remember what that means, it's they deal damage to creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters. And it also says whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, if its toughness was less than 1, draw a card. I like this card a lot. I believe you. Yeah, I think I don't have a mono black deck, and I think this might be one I might build. We'll see. What do you think, Dave?
I'm not very high on her. I think this is a commander that is going to draw some hate, and she's one of those kinds of cards that whenever she does get removed, your deck just doesn't it stops working. I like the aspect of drawing a card. I don't think that's going to happen as often as what you probably think it will, just because if you're attacking me with a creature that has wither, I might just not block it, and then you're just not going to draw a card.
Or you have
So
creatures that can tap and ping things. In that case, it still does wither damage.
you can, however, like you're how often is that going to come up though? Like if you have like a little pinger that's going to be able to tap and like ping for 1 or something like that, how often are you actually going to be able to do that enough times to be able to get the ability off that? Also, most pingers are not in black.
Hmm.
Yeah, I understand that. It's mainly red cards, but there are a couple like equipments and things like that.
I kind of think Massacre Girl is going to fall into the same category as Delney, just being like a really good support in another deck. I don't know if I'd want her at the helm though.
I mean, there are plenty of different options like Toxic Deluge or things that give -X until end of turn. If I know you're killing Massacre in the process, but you're gonna be drawing a lot of cards on that one turn. Well, let's move on to the grades. I'll kick us off because I feel like I'm the highest on this. I'm actually gonna give Massacre Girl a B.
All right. I was thinking more middle of the road for me, man. Honestly, I was gonna think a C.
I'm going to jump down further than that, actually. I think she's a situational engine at best. I think she's a D.
And I'm gonna ride the D train with David.
All right. Well, Massacre Girl, known killer, gets the average grade of a C. And that was it for just the mono black card. Let's move on to the only mono red card as well. This is Krenko, Baron of Tin Street. 2 and a red for a 3/3 legendary creature goblin. It's got haste and it has an ability where you could tap it, sacrifice an artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on each goblin you control. And another ability that says whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay a red. If you do, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. It gains haste until end of turn. Steven, what do we think about the new Krenko?
Banger.
Bang.
Like this card?
Absolute banger of a card.
Yeah.
I love this card so much. Yes, it's got everything I want. It creates the things for you. When you do this, it's got haste. It's a cheaper card, and it's a 3/3 banger.
I like the
Check.
fact I like the fact that you can sacrifice a treasure to create a red and then pay the red and then just make the 1/1.
That's true.
I love the fact that whenever you swing in with all the goblins you have, because Goblin Tribal is such a beautiful thing in this world,
Mhm.
somebody can block and be like, "Oh, I'll just block this tiny little 1/1." Nope.
Hope.
Now it's a tiny little tutu.
And goblins start small, man, but I'm telling you, they get out of hand.
I'm just giving you a hard time. Goblin Tribal actually is a very real thing, so.
One of the most popular kindreds in all of Magic, I'd say.
It's a bummer that you can only do the 1/1 like once, right? Because you have to tap him for that. So unless you're untapping him, but
I know
Yeah,
it's
there's
really
a-
weird because like it's
we
almost
go. Here we
impossible
go.
for people because I think the other Krenko there was no way to tap and untap to just create a massive army out of nowhere. I'm
Absolutely
almost
not.
pretty sure there was no way to break that.
Steven, I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know either.
All right. Based on what you just said, Steven, is this Krenko better than that one?
Ooh,
That's a tough one
About
because that
that.
Krenko is really.
that goes
Let's-
really good.
I
It's-
think
the answer's no.
Well, what does David
Ooh.
think?
I think they're different.
Yeah.
I think that the other Krenko is go wide, make a bunch of tokens. I actually think there's more shenanigans you can do with this one
Mhm.
because of the artifact play. So I think that it's not like a direct comparison. I think they're actually different decks.
I mean, if you're
You're
building
not
this
wrong.
deck, you're putting one in the other. No? You
I
telling me you're not
mean,
going to put the other Krenko in this deck?
I mean, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Possibly.
I think you would. There's no possibly.
Just shut up. I feel like you might. You might. It's like a fifth. It's like a yeah. You would.
Yeah, you would. It's
Where
got
is my
Talking himself up.
Where is my Krenko deck? Oh, there it is.
In the
Looking so
garbage
good
where it
over there.
belongs.
No,
That's
it's
the
over there,
resident Krenko
ready
player.
to go.
I think
Yeah,
we all
I'll
like this
say
card.
this. Yeah, I do like this card a lot. Like I said, the treasure thing, mono red is very famous for being a treasure producer. That just, in general, just your treasures will just make 1/1s. Seems good.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move on to the grades, though. Steven, what are you giving to the new Krenko?
You know, we talked about it in the last one, and talking with your heart is super important to me. And my heart's screaming out A.
Oh,
Yeah, kind of saw that one coming, not gonna lie. I am not that high, but I will go to a B because I do think the potential here to make your board really big very quickly is easy.
David, what's your heart
Um,
saying?
well, here's the thing, guys. I love Krenko. I love goblins. This art, I don't know what they've decided to do with Krenko, but this is a totally different direction than this is not the Krenko that I grew up with. This gets a B.
The art is pretty bad.
You know, I heard that Franco is just a name they give to somebody, right? So it'd be a different guy. Regardless, he's a B.
The average grade for Krenko, Baron of Tin Street, is a B. And that's going to do it for all of the monocolored legendaries from this set. That's right. There was only 3 of them. That's crazy. But moving on to the multicolored, starting with Agrus Kos, Spirit of Justice. It is 2, a red and a white for a 2/4 legendary creature Spirit Detective. It's got double strike and vigilance. And it says, whenever Agrus Kos, Spirit of Justice, enters the battlefield or attacks, choose up to 1 target creature. If it's suspected, exile it. Otherwise, suspect it. In case you don't remember, suspect is a new mechanic that says when it's suspected, the creature has menace and can't block. David, this was added into your upgrade. What do you think of Agrus Kos as a commander?
I think that having a creature with vigilance and the ability to suspect itself is like really weird because
Okay.
the whole point of vigilance is that it can attack and then also stand for blocks. But in this case, you could attack and then also choose to suspect it, give it menace, and then the vigilance is just kind of irrelevant with that. I don't know. I'm actually not very high on this card as a commander. I think that it is very niche and it fits in with the Nelly Borka deck very well. I think that it works incredibly well with her. I'm just not super sold on this. I don't know. I look at it like build it as Voltron. Use Suspect to take care of their blockers. I think there's better things you can be doing even in Boros with that though.
I think with your Nelly deck, the difference there too is he was also goading, which I think was very important to that deck. So this kind of functions similar, if I'm not mistaken, David. Whereas you're gonna suspect your opponents, and then I guess they can't attack you, so that kind of sucks. But I liked the goading part of Nelly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the goading part of Nelly was the whole like they can't attack you. With this, they can attack you, but I mean, he does have the potential to remove the thing that you suspected.
True, true.
Mm. That's why I think it's very cool. As the resident Boros player here, I am kind of high on this card. I am very high on the suspect mechanic. I think it's really cool because it's both a way to get in with damage if you suspect your own things because they have menace, it's harder to block, and also to get in with damage the other way around by making your opponent's things can't block. I don't know. For example, like you were saying, David, if you give this self-suspect, gets in with that double strike pretty easily. It's pretty cool. Based on if you're putting Voltron, you put boots on this guy, kills some of the commander damage. Not bad.
What do you think, Steven?
I mean, I actually really like this card. Just not at the helm of my deck.
Why not?
I just don't think this is a great commander. I hate commanders that are just ETBs and attacks. Now, granted, in Boros, there's definitely ways to give haste, but I just for the price, I just feel like this card is just that's all it does. It's just this one thing. You know, when I have a commander, I like it to do multiple things or at least have some fun with it. But like this is just like ETB, suspect, exile, attack, suspect, exile. I don't know. I do love the double strike. The fact that you can do it twice is going to be pretty good here. But again, at the helm of my deck, I would rather do some other fun stuff, especially with Boros being such a fun color scheme that has so many avenues to take, and not just Boros stuff.
Did you just say Boros is a fun color scheme?
Yeah,
Oh.
dude. It has equipment matters and attack, and equipment
goad.
matters and attack.
It's kind of like when you play mono green, you do the one thing, and that's stomp.
Yeah, combo off.
Counter things, obviously.
Well,
No,
let's
that's
go
cynic,
ahead.
Shane.
Oh,
Let's go ahead and move on to the grades for Agrus Kos. I will start. I'm gonna give, as much as I like it, I still think it's just gonna be a C.
Yeah, Hunter, I'm right there with you, man. I'm gonna give this a C as well.
I think I'm in the C train as well.
all of us unanimous.
Oh,
It's a
I thought you
C.
were gonna go down.
Well, Agrus costs Spirit of Justice, gets the average grade of a C. Next up is Alquist Proft, Master Sleuth. It is 1, a white and a blue for a 3/3 legendary creature human detective. It has vigilance and says when it enters the battlefield, investigate. It also has an ability to pay X, a white, and 2 blue. Tap it, sacrifice a clue. You draw X cards and gain X life. Is that good enough for the command zone, Shane?
I don't know. Sphinx's Revelation's a pretty good card, Hunter. So maybe. Like I like that ability a lot. Card draw wins games, boys. Like right? Am I right?
Am I right?
I don't know. No one's saying I'm
I mean,
right, so I'm feeling I'm not right.
the only thing I see with this card is the same thing I see in any kind of color combo like this, and it's just fighting a combo, and this card just screams Approach of the Second Sun.
Ooh.
This reminds me of Azur, the Lawbringer, where it's like you can
Mhm.
pay an absolute massive amount of mana to draw cards. My only problem here is I think this is much worse than Azur, and I don't actually think Azur's all that good. He's so mana intensive, and so is this card. Plus, you got to tap it and sacrifice a clue. There's a lot of setup here.
Well, luckily you have 1 clue that you make when this enters.
Yeah,
Cool.
and you've
and then
also
flicker them.
just dumped 1 million mana into this thing.
Yeah, Shane's got a good point with flickering.
I
That'd be
feel like-
easy.
I feel like this would just be kind of like a pillow 40 kind of thing, right? Because like, unless you're doing the thing that Steven says, your deck could just be doing a thing, and then your commander here will just draw and gain you a ton of life. And then
Yeah,
you just
Yeah,
kinda-
but would I rather not just play Will, Scion of Peace?
maybe. We're not talking about Will though.
I am. I just did.
He digs much more efficiently and does
Alright.
not also cost you all of the mana that you could possibly dream of.
I tried.
It
Hunter,
actually
I tried.
reduces the mana you're going to put into it. I think this goes into Will.
I like your idea, Shane. A little pillow fort, a little stacksy maybe. Just sit back and do your own thing.
Yeah.
Keep
I mean,
drawing cards,
do you
flicker
think
a bit.
that would work though?
I
Like
don't.
stacks and pillow fort and blue and white colors? Like
Shut up.
I'm actually going to legitimately argue I don't think that would work, because I think that at a certain point you're probably just going to the guns are going to get pointed at you. Most people already don't like to play stacks, so your commander is probably going to be priority number 1 for a lot of people just on the salt scale.
People love stacks, David.
I love playing against stacks. I have something wrong with me.
I hate it. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the grades for Alquist Proft. Shane, what are you giving it? You seem the highest.
I do seem the highest, but my heart still tells me that it's middle of the road. So I'm gonna give it a C.
Yeah, I'm actually going to join you. I still think it's middle of the road as well. Card draw does win games. Just, I don't know about this one.
yeah, I'm not. This is a D.
Steven, thank you. This is a D.
Well, Alquist Proft, Master Sleuth, gets the average grade of a C. Next up is Anzrag, the Quake-Mole. It is 2, a red and a green for an 8/4 legendary creature mole god. It says whenever Anzrag, the Quake-Mole, becomes blocked, untap each creature you control. After this combat phase, there is an additional combat phase. Has another ability to pay 3, 2 red, 2 green. Anzrag must be blocked each combat this turn if able. I love the mole god. It's so fun. Man, let me just say, you can destroy a person in 1 turn
I
with
think you
just
could.
commander damage.
Yeah.
Just 3 hits with Anzrag, they're dead.
You're super high on this card, Hunter.
I am. There are different ways in these colors you don't even have to do that 7 mana ability. You can play a different card that makes things block. Must be blocked this turn. Easy. You
Yeah.
can make this indestructible.
I-
It's bonkers.
I think if you're not making it indestructible, this is bad. You're either you've done your thing where it does have the indestructible, or it swings in, and because it only has the 4 toughness, it doesn't untap. It's just gonna die in combat.
Yeah, it's gotta have indestructible, dude.
Of course. That's why you build around it.
Okay.
I love this
Who
card.
cares? Who cares even if this does die, man? Like, just fucking play it again. Like, you're in a great color scheme to ramp.
After you just dumped 7 mana, I think you're
Who
gonna
says
care
who,
if this
who
dies.
says who says
yeah.
you're gonna dump 7 mana?
Like I said, you don't need to do that ability. There's other ways to do that.
I don't know.
This is 4 mana for an 8/4 commander, Dave.
And I'm not impressed by that.
He wants it to be a 16-4
Look.
that's vanilla.
Look, that's a totally different story. There's different things you can do with that card. I think that's a horrible comparison. Look, here, in my own little personal bias, one of my favorite cards, one of my favorite decks is Thalia and the Gitrog monster. And I look at that and then I look at this and I just giggle and must be blocked because I just don't care what this card does.
Look, man, you can do the same thing like the Gitrog monster. I mean, no, not Thalia. You said it's Yargle and Multani, David.
No, I know. I'm making two different comparisons here. Yargle and Multani, I don't think is a very good
He
comparison
didn't
at
like
all.
my comparison. There
You
as a
take
joke.
advantage of that like incredibly ludicrous power ratio so that you can like sacrifice him to draw a ton of cards or just like use some of the like massive card draw engines. You're essentially using him to dig through your deck and like beating people to death with him as the backup. I don't think you want to do that same thing with Anzrag, and I don't think that the red in comparison to black gives you the same kind of utility and tools that you probably want to be playing with. I said the Thalia and Gitrog, I said Thalia and the Gitrog monster just simply because like that is one of my favorite decks. And if I'm sitting down in a pod and I'm looking at an Anzrag deck, my first strike Death Toucher is not afraid of an 8/4.
I'm building this with multiple combats. Like just period. I'm
We
just
know
throwing all my
you are.
different multiple combats in this. And it's gonna
And
be
I think
so much fun.
I think that you probably should. I do feel like this is a commander that you could dump a ton of mana into and just eat a path.
Hey man, I'm all for the holy moly. Okay.
The holy moly. Jesus.
Mhm. The
I
mole
mean,
guy.
I'm here for the memes, dude. Okay.
Yeah. This is more than a meme. I'm here for it.
We'll
Steven, you
see.
love it too, right?
No, I don't love it. What's beside what's better than love? I mean, just true destiny.
True destiny. That's it. Well, let's go ahead.
I built this will be the last thing I say. I built a Itali Primal Conqueror deck, and it made me fall in love with Gruul. And this card, I think, just is Gruul mainly because it's the colors, but just in
Right.
all aspects of what Gruul wants to do, and that is swing and just be annoying and swing again and just swing again and swing like holy moly, dude.
Exactly. Steven gets it.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move on to the grades. I'll kick us off. Anzrag from me has a special place in my heart, Steven, and this is an A.
Wow.
It's an A.
Look at these two guys over here, dude. David, you want to bring him back down to earth? What are you gonna do?
So
All right,
I'll
we got 2 A's. We got this.
it doesn't matter with our grading scale. I'm gonna give this a C. I don't actually think he's very good.
I was about to literally just say that for me, he's still gonna be middle of the road, dude. So it's a C.
Anzrag the Quake-Mole gets the average grade of a B. Next up is another Boros card. It's Aurelia, the Law Above. It is 3, a red and a white for a 4/4 legendary creature angel. It's got flying, vigilance, and haste, and says whenever a player attacks with 3 or more creatures, you draw a card. And whenever a player attacks with 5 or more creatures, Aurelia, the Law Above, deals 3 damage to each of your opponents, and you gain 3 life. Very simple and to
Hunter,
the point.
you're the Boros boy. So tell me why this card's good.
Yeah, man, just Boros, go wide. That's the strategy you're running, and if other people attack each other with more creatures, it benefits you for drawing. Not
Okay.
bad.
Pretty
I feel
straightforward.
really bad. I feel because like in my mind, the only thing I thought about was like, oh wow, Boros go wide. Man, haven't seen that before. But then the last card I just talked about was like, oh, Gruul goes smack, and I was so excited for it.
Gruul goes smack.
So you're excited for this one too, Steven?
Absolutely not.
Okay. I mean, I see what he's trying to do. All right. He's trying to do the thing that the colors want to do. It just seems. Is boring the right word? I don't know.
What makes this card really good is the keyword. So flying, vigilance, haste, fantastic. But what I really love is whenever a player, so not just yourself.
What
That
he
is
said.
insanely good to me.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. You could just sit back, and if your opponents decide to attack each other with 3 or more creatures, or if you get attacked on accident, probably on purpose,
Yeah, so,
because
oops, I attacked you.
you have a card that's making you draw cards. You just benefit from other people. So, I don't know. I like it.
But even with that additional like stipulation on this, how often do you think that happens? Because I feel like, generally speaking, I feel like I'm either not attacking with 3 or more creatures, or I'm attacking with so many creatures that I don't care if you draw a card. Because unless you deal with my board state, I probably just won the game.
David, do you build decks that sit back and just wait for other people to do things, though? There's a
Yeah, he
many,
built that
many
Delney
decks.
deck.
Yeah, there you go. There's decks that like to swing with 3 creatures sometimes, Dave.
See, okay, so maybe this is my own like little jaded lens of things, is that I don't actually play many of those decks. I don't own many decks in paper where it's like, okay, I'm gonna have like 5 or 6 creatures in play. It's like if I've got 3 creatures, that's like my max of my board state, and chances are one of them is probably like a Birds of Paradise. So I'm not swinging with it.
Exactly my point.
The other thing about this card too is that if you do happen to hit like its higher clause there of the 5, the lightning helix effect feels so underwhelming. Like the draw card is a much better effect than just dealing for 3 and gaining 3 life.
Well,
yeah, I agree with that.
But think about the underwhelming part of it is like what Steven and Hunter brought up. It could be another opponent. If your opponent does that, and you just like happen to get that for doing nothing. That's kind of cool, I guess.
5 creatures though. That is so many creatures.
Hunter constantly has 5 creatures, dude.
It could be, yeah. That's because I'm a very combat heavy.
But that's the thing though, is that like these abilities are going to trigger for the person who built Aurelia. I just don't think that they're going to trigger outside of that player's turn.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, you never know. Let's go ahead and move on to the grades. I'll kick us off because I am the resident Boros player. Sorry, Aurelia, you're getting a C.
Yeah. I feel like I'm giving everything a middle of the road right now, but I'm going to continue with it and give it a C.
C.
Ooh, D, C. It's a C. It's a C for sure.
It's
Flying
right
Vigilance
there.
Haste. Come on, dude.
It's like right there with Anzrag.
Okay. Aurelia, the law above, gets the average grade of a C. This next card is Etrata, Deadly Fugitive. It's 1 a blue and a black for a 1/4 legendary creature vampire assassin. It's got Death Touch and says, face down creatures you control have pay 2 a blue and a black, turn this creature face up. If you can't, exile it. Then you may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost. It also says whenever an assassin you control deals combat damage to an opponent, cloak the top card of that player's library. Calling Mr. Demir, Steven, what do we think about Etrata?
He loves her.
Is that right?
The faces.
Is that right?
It's an interesting card. It's a very interesting mechanic, obviously. I mean, I haven't played with Cloak. I haven't really tried it out. I'm sure it's probably fun. Having a 3-mana 1/4 with Death Touch is pretty good. I do like that. And then obviously Assassin Tribal in this color scheme, there was I think it was Kamigawa that had that assassin, right? Where you win the game or something like that.
I forgot the stipulation, but yeah, it is something then you win the game.
Yeah. So this is I think you had to deal like the final blow to one person and then you win the game automatically. But so I do know that there is assassin, kindred fun to be had when it comes to this color scheme. So I'm sure you could do some fun stuff. Plus, obviously, changelings.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Assassin Demir is the way to go and build this deck. Get as many cloak cards down as you can. Cheat in some big stuff for only 4. It's easy.
Mm-hmm.
Manipulate,
and then I think
manipulate the top of your deck, Dave. I know you're going to say something there. Manipulate the top of your deck before cloaking that top card so you know exactly what it's going to be.
We're not cloaking your deck, though, dude.
Somebody made a comment on the last video saying, with the way they wanted to build one of the decks with like a bunch of 0/0 like copy. And I thought that was pretty interesting. So, I mean, kind of doing some stuff like that here would be pretty cool, too.
Oh, you're right, Shane. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
You're cloaking your opponent, not yourself.
I think that's honestly my biggest downfall with this card. You kind of like we always go to the will you build around it, but like you literally can't if you're playing with your opponent's things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
you're right.
I think the way you
My
play with
bad.
this one is like maybe you only have her as the assassin because no one's gonna block a death toucher probably, and then you just cloak because you only cloak once no matter what, even if you have a ton of assassins, and then you kind of just play the mere good stuff I guess at that point, and then sometimes steal something.
The error with your logic there is I will block.
Okay, well then I'll kill whatever you're doing.
Sure, as long as your card dies too, I could care less.
That's not necessarily true, right? What Shane just alluded to. If I attack opponent A and attack opponent B, both with assassins, wouldn't I flip 2 cards?
Yeah, whenever you deal
Mhm.
combat damage with an assassin to an opponent, you flip over that opponent's card.
Yeah, so
Unblockable
Oh, this
chain
is player.
leads.
Yeah, I guess yeah.
yeah, so like you can potentially make 3 flippy cards.
I guess you could. You're right.
But like there's a very limited number of cards you can actually like fate seal your opponent with to manipulate the top card of their library. That's very hard to do, at least not like in a way that's reliable, and especially scaling with like 3 people in play without drawing a ton of hate.
Yeah, I get that.
The cool
Hard to
thing though,
believe that
Oh.
Demir draws hate.
I was gonna say the one cool thing though is like instead of it saying you can cast it for any mana or any color, that you'll always have access to that, right? Because even if the opponent doesn't have blue, black, boom, now it does.
Now it does. Yeah, I don't know about this card, boys. Let's move on to the grades. We will start with Steven still. What are we giving it?
I was actually really low on this card. I was thinking about a D, but I think thinking about building it with like assassins and unblockable changelings, I think I'm actually at a C now. Like a pretty high C actually.
Yeah, I'm looking at it like you can build this, like build it around the cloak, disguise, manifest kind of mechanic on your own too. It doesn't necessarily have to be flipped over. Like if you flip your own cards over, that's fine too. It still has that ability. I think this card's good. It's a C.
It's okay. I'm gonna give it a C. There's things you can do for like just like building around this or helping it out. You can go the changeling, you can go like more for cloak or whatever other face down mechanic you want. So it's playable.
Yeah, I think it's pretty fun. I'm still gonna give it a C though.
All right, Etrata, a deadly fugitive, gets the average grade of a C. This next card is Ezrim, Agency Chief. It's 1, 2 white, and 2 blue for a 5/5 legendary creature, Archon Detective. It's got flying, and it says when it enters the battlefield, investigate twice. It also says you can pay 1, sacrifice an artifact. Ezrim gains your choice of Vigilance, Lifelink, or Hexproof until end of turn. Simple to the point. We keep seeing these ETBs make a clue. But this one does it twice, David. What do we think?
Well, I said this whenever this card originally got spoiled that this was going to beat me to death in the pre-release, and fun fact, it did actually. It did beat me to death at the pre-release. I like this card a lot. This is a card that like it has the ability to protect itself. It's got a pretty solid ETB. It's got a wonderful body on there. It does things. At the same time, it is like an Azorius big dumb beater, but it does have flying, which is nice.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know either. I don't think it's that good.
I think
The
it's
ability for it to protect itself at instant speed, I think, is really solid.
That's all it does.
yeah, but protect yourself. So you, David, the man that loves combat damage to win games, is that how you're winning this game? Because otherwise, you're just flickering it and getting more treasure. Otherwise, I don't know what
this
else
is
it does.
Azorius combat damage.
I
Yeah,
don't
combat
think I'm
damage.
flickering this at all.
Okay, well then you're doing combat damage. So is that what you're liking?
Yeah, I'm using this as a control shell. I mean, like you throw in Smothering Tithe, and boom, there's your never-ending stream of artifacts that you can sacrifice to just keep this thing hexproof forever, or vigilant or lifelink forever.
What a cool card, dude! You telling me that is a good card? Okay, got it.
I think that of the Azorius legends that we've talked about so far today, this one is by far the best.
It's the only one. Wait, what?
Not the only one.
What else we talk? Oh, Prof. Yeah, okay, Prof was whatever.
I don't know, boys. This doesn't seem that good to me. This does just kind of like a one thing. Congratulations, you gave it lifelink. Congratulations, you gave it hexproof. And then you're out of treasures or artifacts, and then you can't protect it anymore unless you had other spells in your hand.
Which, like, oh my goodness, white and blue really struggle at protecting their things.
That was kind of the joke, but at the same time, yeah, I don't like it.
I mean, I see it. This card's really fun in my eyes, but I'm not a big fan of the way the mana cost is here. It is just like 2 blue pips, 2 white pips, and then just 1 generic. Like that is aggressive. And just having to make sure you have it. It's really tough in my mind sometimes.
Yeah.
I love seeing the pay 1, don't have to tap it. You can pay the 1 and give it vigilance, the lifelink, hexproof. You can swing in, gain the 5. It's just I feel like you're doing a lot to try and play a commander that could just be a lot better.
I mean, if you do want to build Voltron, though, like you want to put a lot of auras or equipment onto a commander, one that you can instant speed give hexproof to, and worst case scenario, maybe sacrifice the equipment that you've got attached to it to give it protection or to give it that hexproof.
You keep talking it up, but I'm still convinced it's bad, and I know you're gonna say it at the end.
All right.
I think we can go ahead and move on to the grades here. We're gonna start with you, David. What are you giving Ezrim?
I like this card a lot, dude. This is a powerhouse of a C.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I am actually going lower than that. This is a D.
Oh.
Well, I'm not gonna say D. I think this is definitely a C.
Yeah, just like everything I've been saying tonight, unfortunately, I'm gonna give it a C as well.
Well, Ezrim, Agency Chief, gets the average grade of a C. Next up is Izoni, Center of the Web. It is 4 a black and a green for a 5/4 legendary creature, Elf Detective. It's got menace. And it says when it enters the battlefield or attacks, you may collect evidence for. If you do, create 2/1 black and green spider creature tokens with menace and reach. Also has another ability where you sacrifice 4 tokens to surveil 2 cards. You gain 2 life. What is going on with this card, Steven?
So are we moving straight to the grades, or are we?
You don't
This
like
card is
Izoni?
awful.
No?
This
Dude,
card is awful.
it's got a lot
6
going
mana
for it in
for
a
a
negative
5/4
way.
with menace, which is meh nowadays. I love this color scheme to do fun graveyard things, but I hate the fact that I have to exile things from my graveyard. I hate that. I want to bring stuff back in this color scheme. I don't want to exile it and give it away.
Yeah, I'm still not high on the collect evidence. Haven't been when I first announced it. Still not to this day.
I think collect evidence in standard is great, but in commander with graveyard recursion and you're trying to do stuff, I'm not. No.
Yeah, I got
This
nothing
is
good
it.
to say about this.
It's expensive with 2 abilities that I don't care about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tell you what though, mean mugging in this artwork. I love it.
I think we can go ahead and move on to the grades here. This was a quick one. Steven, start us off with Izoni.
F.
Okay. I still think it does something. It's getting a D.
Yeah, I believe it does something as well. I'm gonna give it a D.
I think that this takes up a slot in your deck. This is an F.
Izoni, Center of the Web, is the average grade of a D. Moving on, we have Judith, Carnage Connoisseur. It is 3 a black and a red for a 3/4 legendary creature, Human Shaman. It says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, choose one. That spell gains Death Touch and Lifelink, or create a 2/2 red imp creature token with, when this creature dies, it deals 2 damage to each opponent.
Talk to me, David.
Resident Rakdos, David.
I like both of the abilities of this card. I think that they're both really neat. I think that they provide a lot of flexibility. Do you want like an instant speed blocker, or maybe you just like kill one of your opponent's things? This is 5 mana and does literally nothing without a second spell.
I know.
It's got so much bad about this. Like the floor on this card is through the floor.
Through the floor. Wow.
Through the floor. That makes sense.
But it's so good when it's on the field, dude.
It's okay whenever it's on the field, but like it's no. It's not even okay whenever it's on the field. It is okay whenever it's on the field. You have mana up and you have instants in your hand.
Oh.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like this is a card that makes you play bad cards. Like, do I want to maybe put like a Go for the Throat in my deck? Or do I want to put like a Lightning Bolt in my deck? Because Lightning Bolt could have Death Touch and Lifelink, but Go for the Throat will actually just always kill the thing that I needed to kill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
both.
Death Touch would always kill the thing.
Yeah, but he's saying that,
Yeah, but
that's only if Judith on the field.
yeah, if Judith is gone, Lightning Bolt gets really bad really fast.
Sometimes.
How many red decks do you have Lightning Bolt in, Hunter?
So many. Actually, probably just one. Not even none.
I don't think one. I don't think collectively between all of us we have a single Lightning Bolt in any of our decks.
How about you, Steven?
Which is hysterical. No.
Oh, okay.
Which, I mean, I think it's funny that we talk about Lightning Bolt a lot, but we never put it in a single deck, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, like, in all fairness, Shane and I both used to play quite a bit of Modern, and like, it's fantastic there. It's just that like when you play EDH, it's like there's a lot of things with 4 toughness.
Yeah, that's true. I think the commander is also just going to be one of those things where it just needs to die once, and then it gets real bad. Because that sucks.
That it do. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the grades. We will start once again with our resident Rakdos player, David. What are you giving Judith?
Give me the hate down in the comments below. This is a D.
Whoa, Dave.
Whoa. I can't do that. I can't give that card a D. This is a C.
Shane?
I think I'm not as low as David, so I can't go D, but I'm going to go C.
Cool. This is definitely a B.
Ooh.
I love this card very much.
Well, Judith Carnage Connoisseur gets the average grade of a C. This next card, guess who's back? It's Kellan. This time, Kellan, Inquisitive Prodigy. It is still an adventure card. So the adventure part is called Tail the Suspect, which is a green and a blue for a sorcery that says investigate. You may play an additional land this turn. But Kellan, Inquisitive Prodigy, is 2 a green and a blue for a 3/4 legendary creature, human fairy detective. It's got flying and vigilance and says, whenever it attacks, destroy up to 1 target artifact. If you control that permanent, draw a card. I think this is the best Kellan we've ever seen, Shane. What do you think?
I definitely think this is the best Kellan we've ever seen. I don't know, man. I'm drawn. I'm not drawn. I'm torn for it to be my commander though. Like I get that it's got some strong abilities, like really strong abilities. And what you'll investigate on your turn 2, turn 3. So basically you're gonna play him turn 3, and then by turn 4, hopefully you can destroy something. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know if slow is the right word, but it's gonna sit around. It's gotta sit around a whole turn and not die, because people are gonna be like, oh, that destroys something. I need to kill that thing. That's what I'm worried about.
You guys really think that this is better than the Boros, Kellan?
Yeah.
The one that
do.
tutors?
I don't like that. That's boring. That just makes the same gameplay always happen, David.
I know, but here's the thing: is that like the same gameplay always happening typically means it's good. There's a reason why people play tutors in EDH.
Okay.
I think
I mean, this is the same gameplay too. I mean, it's the same thing.
You know what? You're right. You're gonna blow up your opponent's arcane signet, and you're gonna blow up their
Soul
mind
Ring,
stone.
not their arcane signet. Come on,
Okay.
blow up the better thing, Dave.
All right. You're right. You're right. You're gonna blow up their soul ring. You're gonna blow up their arcane signet. You're gonna blow up the rest of their artifacts and enchantment. Or actually, he doesn't hit enchantments. I apologize. You're gonna blow up the rest of their artifacts, and occasionally you might blow up some of your artifacts. But in green blue, like artifacts isn't really like the thing. Sure, you can have food or clues, I guess. Like you could draw cards off that, but like whenever I think of like artifact destruction decks, or at least like where you're wanting to sacrifice them, I'm typically thinking recursion, and this is not the color combination for it. I'm ready to stop talking about any rendition of Kellan, though.
I think we're
Too
about
bad.
one set away from Kellan being 5 colors, and that's what I'm excited for.
Nah, he hasn't been black yet, so he's gonna come back as Rakdos. You watch.
we have the Wild West set coming out. At some point here, really soon, we're gonna have an Oops All Kellan deck.
You know,
Oh,
really
Kellan.
cute. You're talking about stuff that's not the card. Steven, talk to me about the card.
This card's great.
Okay, thank you. I wanted.
That's all I wanted. Yeah. Go ahead and explain that there, Steven.
Doesn't need to.
I think adventure cards in your command zone are super strong. This being able to let you play an additional land is really nice. Plus, you get to investigate, so a little card draw is really nice. Flying Vigilant 3/4 is nothing to scoff at. The only issue I have with this card is there's just way better commanders in Simic that I'd rather do stuff with. Do I really care? And Shane brought up a really good point. Do I really want to play a Simic commander where I have to wait an entire turn to destroy an artifact? Sure. Will that, destruction of that artifact draw me a card? 100%. Does Simic already do that better in other commanders? 1,000%. So, like, that's my only thing about this card. Like, sure, it's really fun, and if I really wanted to play a Kellan deck, like, maybe this is mine. I don't know. I think I'm with David. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Yep. All right. Well, let's move on to the grades then. We'll start with you, Steven. What are you giving Kellan?
It's a B. I really like it. I just think that there are A rank Civic commanders. This is not one.
I agree with you completely. This is a B from me too.
Saying it with my chest. It's a B.
I'm saying it with my heart. This is a D. I think he's actually just bad.
Kellan, Inquisitive Prodigy, gets the average grade of a B. Let's move on to an Is It card. Haven't seen one yet. It's Kylox, a Visionary Inventor. It's 5, a blue and a red for a 4/4 legendary creature via Shino Artificer. It's got Menace, Ward 2, and Haste, and says whenever Kylox attacks, sacrifice any number of other creatures, then exile the top X cards of your library where X is the total power. You may cast any number of instant and or sorcery spells from among the exiled cards without paying their mana costs. I do believe you were very high on this, David.
So, look, here's the thing, is that I think that people are going to immediately just, like, get turned off with the fact that this costs 7 mana, so it is a ton. However, it's got haste, and it has ward 2. If this swings, I think it just wins the game. Like, if you are able to, like, have this actually do its thing, you're going to be able to sacrifice enough creatures, you're going to be able to dig through your deck, and then being able to cast 5, 6, 7, maybe more instant or sorcery spells off the top of your library, you're probably just winning the game on the spot. I don't think this is a commander that needs to stick around, and I think that this potentially providing the win condition in the command zone is pretty powerful.
What if the top 7 is nothing that wins you the game, David?
Like, you're also saying the top 7. Like, this could potentially be higher than just 7.
This could be your whole deck.
This could be your whole deck. You could cast your whole deck. But given that, yes, if you are casting your entire deck, like, chances are you were probably already winning the game before this.
This seems like ridiculous.
Yeah, it does seem ridiculous.
Not in a good way.
Ridiculously good.
Why, Steven?
I mean, listen, 7 mana is a hefty cost for
That
a
is
commander, but
hefty.
yes. But I think the entire reason why it's 7 mana is A, it's super strong, but B, because the entire point of this is to build your board state. Even if you're making a shit ton of like little 1/1s, it doesn't matter. Because you're just going to sack them to play, or sorry, you're going to sack them to basically cast the top cards of your library. And it's really good. I mean, I really do enjoy this card. This is the kind of card that the Ward 2 is a little unfortunate because, like we always talk about, this is going to eat a Swords or, oh my God, I just forgot the other one, a Path. But yeah, I think this is one of those cards that, you kind of see it coming a little bit. So you kind of hope to God nobody's holding up a counterspell.
I mean, you're the blue deck, though. You can be holding up the counterspell.
Yes, but
On
and
top
that's the
of
thing. I
mana.
think you're building
It's a
up your
lot of
board
mana.
state. You're holding protection. It is a lot of mana, but it's a lot of mana to win the game. We talk about it all the time. We always say the two things: free spells are fucking amazing, and we also say what if you're spending a ton of mana, you better be winning the game.
Well, if it's over 7, and that's the win the game guaranteed.
Yeah, and I think that this does that.
I
Like,
don't think so.
Is it Spellslinger decks? Typically, they don't run a whole lot of creatures, and the creatures that they do run are creatures like the Locust God or Young Pyromancer or the like 4-mana one that makes the birds. So like, there's a lot of like token generation that you can just sack those tokens there and start casting a crazy amount of instant and sorceries. Also, if you even just X of 1 and happen to get like, I don't know, some gigantic instant or sorcery spell, you can actually still cast it for free.
I understand that, but there you just said it. If, right? There is always that chance that it will whiff. You can whiff hardcore. As someone that is a dinosaur deck that likes to flip over dinosaurs, I've seen it happen where I got no dinosaurs and I run a dinosaur heavy. So I'm
So-
saying you can flip over cards and just not hit anything.
You
Sure.
right now you're referencing Gishaf for viewers at home.
Yes, I am. Mhm.
I think that this is better than Gishaf.
I'm saying I'm comparing two things, right? Flip over the top, see what you got. There's a chance you can whiff.
Yes, there is a chance that you can whiff with this card. There is also a chance that like you don't even care about how much combat damage you could potentially be dealing because your opponents don't get to see the light of the next turn. Like, I'm not building this with the intention of me like flipping into instants and sorceries that are going to build me a decent board state for the following turn. I'm building this as like I've just comboed off and won the game.
Yeah, I know. Boring. I get it.
Well, let's
I
go
get it.
ahead and move on to the grades, David. You seem extremely high on Kylox.
I'm going to give it a B. It still requires some setup, but I think that if this swings, I think it wins.
Not
Steven,
going
go
that
ahead.
high.
Oh.
I can't do it. I can't do it. Not going that high. Kylox is a C.
Jump on there, Steven. What are we giving it?
I mean, I can't go that high, David. I'm sorry, because I got to go way higher. This is an A.
You guys are so dumb. Yeah, it's a combo deck. Sure. I still think it's a C. A lot of hate drawn.
Kylox Visionary Inventor is the average grade of a B. Next up, Lazav, Wearer of Faces. It is 1 blue and 1 black for a 2/3 legendary creature shapeshifter detective. It says whenever it attacks, exile target card from a graveyard, then investigate. It also says whenever you sacrifice a clue, you may have Lazav become a copy of a creature card exiled with it until end of turn. Pretty cool with Dimir again, Steven.
Sure.
You seem not high.
I mean, listen, man. If I'm gonna play a card like this, it better be called the Ever-Changing Dane.
Hey, my man.
What a reference.
I was gonna say that one. Damn it.
I knew you were. I just wanted to get to it first.
Mhm.
I love this card a lot. I just hate the fact you have to attack with it. That's my only thing.
I hate the until end of turn, man. Like, if it just stayed what you wanted it to be, I feel like this card would be great.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just I don't
The good news
mind the
is-
end of turn thing
Yeah, good news
because
is it's always going to be there, right? You can just do it again.
No, you exiled whatever you just took.
Yeah, I know, but as long as that card is exiled,
Yeah, so you can keep grabbing the same exiled
keep
card.
grabbing the same thing.
It doesn't move to
Yeah.
like a second exile. It's even more exiled.
yeah, I'm just gonna keep making Lazav a tox roll.
Good.
Just
Yeah, but that on its own literally would do nothing for you.
I know, because I'm the beginning of the end step.
You would get a 7/7, which is great. That's your commander now.
I mean,
That's it.
this card's cool because it's got some graveyard hate. So that's, start removing stuff
Yeah,
from
you still have
graveyards.
to attack with it. That's
I know.
that's the only thing I hate about this card.
Yeah, and it probably dies. Yeah.
or you can do all the things at the same time. You could attack with this, exile something, then crack that clue and turn into the thing you just exiled. Before
You
combat
know,
damage.
you really could, dude.
I mean, hot take. I
that.
really like super hot take. I rather it would have said like pay 2, exile a card. I don't mind paying 4 mana to get like something fun.
You mean besides
I
attacking?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Got it. I don't
Well.
know. I like Dane better.
Well, let's move on to the grades. Lazav from me, still middle of the road. C.
This is a D for Dimir.
Whoa, you gave a Demir card a D?
Man, I could have sworn.
Oh,
mine
you're
said
right.
A,
I
you
need to say
said-
B. Sorry, it's a B.
No, you already said D.
There's too many hoops to jump through here. This is a D.
Dang. I'm gonna give this the ever-changing D Dane. D.
Wow, really reached for that one.
I did. I'm sorry.
Lazav, Wearer of Faces, gets the average grade of a D. We got ourselves another Izzet card. It's Malek, Reforged Researcher. 3 a blue and a red for a star legendary creature. Weird Detective. Isn't that weird?
Super.
It says its power and toughness are equal to twice the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. It also says the first instant and sorcery spell you cast each turn costs 3 less to cast. Seems pretty good though, right, Shane?
It really does, dude. If you're a Spellslinger deck and your spells are that cheap, I mean, granted, it's not going to help with any of the colored mana, bummer, but anything that's bigger with the generic like that, that's awesome, dude. I like this a lot. And then you're gonna benefit off of all of the cheaper spells you're casting. It is gonna turn into just a big dumb beater if you're trying to win that way, which sucks. But hey, man, okay, it's not free spells, but cheap spells are pretty good too.
Yeah, cheap spells are good. I mean, getting its power and toughness equal to twice the number, I think that's really cool. Most of the time, it's always like however many. So seeing it double, not a bad touch on this card.
So I built this deck,
Ooh,
and this is a really interesting commander in terms of like deck construction and deck restriction based on the construction. If you cast this for 5 mana and you don't have an instant or sorcery in the graveyard, it dies. It's a 0/0. So
that's
you
good to
have to you must have little instants and sorceries as well as like your payoff cards. So I think that the way that Malek actually performs best isn't where you're like dumping for the big 9 mana sorcery spell, but instead oftentimes where you're paying into like the X spells, or you're paying into spells like Teamer Battle Rage, where they're already naturally fairly cheap, but it's like now the creature gets +2/+2 because that card just went to the graveyard, and now it has like double strike.
that's pretty
So
good.
Malek, as like a spell slinger, just got to the point where it's like he can kill with Voltron really, really quickly.
Steven, what do you think?
I've seen this deck pop off. I feel like, I mean, David's right. This, if you don't have the little guys and just concentrate on the big guys, it's not going to be that fun. But I've seen what this deck can do. It's weird because I do love like Izzet Spellslinger decks, but I just can't find myself wanting to play this.
He's a different side of Spellslinger.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's Spellslinger Voltron, which is super interesting because like I've seen this be built as like multiple turns, Psych Rift, get in for the commander damage, get them to 21, and then just keep taking turns over and over and over again, and then just ruin everyone's day. But once this card slowly starts to die, I mean, it's like, I mean, I guess it's every commander. I know we always bring it up, but 5 mana is an investment.
You are, however, in probably the best color combination to protect this thing whenever it does drop.
100%. I mean, I agree. I don't know. I'm very indifferent on this card because like for me it scales so high and it scales so low.
Oh yeah, he's got a really low floor but a really high ceiling. He can one-shot people pretty easily.
Mhm.
Or he can cost 7 or 9, 11 mana and do nothing.
Well, let's go ahead and move on to the grades to see if Steven can give a good grade to this. But we will start with David.
I think I'm gonna give it a C. There, like Steven had mentioned, this card just has so much variance to it that even with the same deck, you can have games where it's like you do literally nothing, or you have games where you just like steamroll people.
I can see that happening, and I too am going to give it a C.
I3. We'll give it a C.
I think this is in B territory, boys. I'm giving it a B.
Wow. All right. Malek, Reforged Researcher, still going to get an average grade of a C. Next up, Niv-Mizzet, Guildpact. It is a white, blue, black, red, and green for a 6/6 legendary creature dragon avatar. It's got flying and hexproof from multicolored. It also says whenever Niv-Mizzet Guildpact deals combat damage to a player, it deals X damage to any target. Target player draws X card, you gain X life, where X is the number of different color pairs among permanents you control that are exactly 2 colors. David, I do believe when we spoiled this card, me and you had a heated debate in terms of you loved this card. I wasn't so high on it. Let's continue that debate. What do you think?
So right off the gate, this is 5 mana. It's a 5-color commander. So I think just based off of that, this card is probably really pushed. It's got great stats. This is a repeatable draw engine. It is repeatable removal. And I guess it also gains you some life too. Like, even if this is only drawing you, say, hitting X of like 2 per turn, of drawing you 2 extra cards, dealing with something that has 2 power or less, and then it gains you 2 life, this card is pretty powerful. I like this card a lot.
Yeah, the card's good. It's just not that good, in my opinion. Why would you ever play this over any other 5-color deck, Dave?
I can't say that I would. But I mean, if I'm going to be like picking specifically like 5-color decks that I want to play just to win, there's a very, like, I'd say there's probably 2 that I would gravitate towards. But I do think that this card is like really, really powerful.
Do you think hexproof and multicolored is even relevant?
Yeah, it protects you from Boros Charm.
I mean, there's a couple. You know, I get that we always talk about the 2 big monocolored ones. I get it, but yeah.
Hey, Dreadbore and Terminate.
Yeah, that's true.
There you go. You got 2 of them.
Assassin's Trophy.
There you go.
You got 3 of them.
Deadly Rollick.
Go on.
Shrug of Midnight.
Another
Generous Gift.
He's talking about.
Oh
Beast
no,
Within.
these are ones that we
Oh,
don't
is-
get.
oh, I was
We
like,
don't
those
get
are-
those.
Those are all some mono. Why am I agreeing with you? What the hell?
Or what you
Toxic
do.
Deluge.
Or what you do is you
That's
drop
exile.
Painter's Servant in this deck, and you name, like, I don't know, blue, or the color that like nobody's playing, and then boom, everything's blue, so now everything's multicolored.
Yeah, but no. I still don't think this card's good, Dave. I'm sorry.
You know, I want to love this card so much. I love 5-color decks. It is like my favorite thing to build. But man, for me, like when it says hexproof for multicolored, it is like flavor text.
Yep.
I hate it. I really
Hey.
do.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. You drop Painter's Servant and you name green, and Path no longer works on this card. Literally, I don't think there's a single removal spell aside from Beast Within that gets played that works on Niv-Mizzet anymore.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like I love it because like I play a Thrun deck, Thrun Breaker of Silence, and I love it because it can only be targeted by green spells. So I get the funness of that, but I feel like plus Painter's Servant is so expensive.
I mean, no,
Yes.
it's only like $50.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Shane, what do you think about this card?
I think that it won't be impossible to have a bunch of exactly 2 different colored. So like when that does happen, card draw wins games, boys. Life gain stops you from losing games.
Life
Well,
gain
that's-
does nothing.
I mean, I'm trying. I don't know, but the card draw is very relevant, and then this thing smacks another thing, so it kind of has like double strike. It could be like boom 6. If you have 6 pairs, David, that's another 6 to the face. Boom.
You're okay. I love your thought process. You're never getting 6.
I don't know. Dude, I'm trying to, hey,
I think you're steamrolling if you got 3.
that's
But I
true.
mean, like, I
That's
don't think that you need a ton.
I think it's a cool card. I like him.
Yeah, he's all right. Let's move on to the grades. David is so high on Niv-Mizzet. What are we giving it, David?
Dude, he is fantastic. This card's a C.
I
Yep,
saw that from a
I
mile
knew
away.
it.
I saw that from a
I knew you
mile
were gonna
away.
say it because that's my grade. I'm also giving it a C. I think it's okay.
Steven's been
Average.
to totally kill this.
Man, I don't want to give it a C.
Give it what does your heart say?
I mean, I'll be honest with you, man. I honestly think this card is a D. I think that if you're playing 5-color, there are so many better cards to play. And I just think if you play 5-color, you got two different routes. You either go, straight for the card and what it's trying to do, or you're just like just trying to take like the best pieces of everything. But this is really wanting you to play with, those 2-color, permanents. And it's just it's fun, but it's very restrictive. And I don't think that the multicolored affects it, so I'm going to stick with a D.
Well, I'm giving it not that. I'm gonna C.
All right. Well, as high as David was on this card, Niv-Mizzet Guildpact. It's the average grade of a C. Rakdos, Patron of Chaos. It is 4 a black and a red for a 6/6 legendary creature demon. It's got flying and trample, and it says at the beginning of your end step, target opponent may sacrifice 2 non-land, non-token permanents. If they don't, you draw 2 cards. Resident Rakdos, we said all the time. David, once again, what do we think of your boy Rakdos himself?
All right, let me ask you guys this question.
Here we go.
Would you play a
No.
6-mana 6/6 with flying and trample that draws you 2 extra cards per turn?
Yes.
No.
Because that's exactly what this is. It's like best case scenario, he draws you 2 extra cards. I guess if worst case scenario would be that your opponent just sacrificed 2 non-token permanents, so like they can blow up their lands, which that's not bad for you. It's not actually helping you win the game.
Non-land.
Oh, you're right. Non-land, non-token. This is going to draw you 2 extra cards per turn. Is that good enough?
Yes.
No.
Guys,
Stapled onto a big beater? I don't know, dude. This card is
wins
just like
games.
it does. This is going to draw you 3 cards on your turn.
Yeah.
Because like your opponents are probably not sacrificing the 2. You get to target which opponent, but at the same time, there's nothing else that this card does.
It beats them in the face for 6 in the air, and you win with combat, Dave.
You know what? This is your removal tribal, where you're just throwing every single removal piece in here. That way you can kill all their things so they can't sacrifice. You're gonna have one person with no board state ever, and you're just gonna choose them every single time.
There you go.
That's really mean, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, you're gonna draw, dude. I like the card draw here.
I mean, that's my
I will say,
that's my Athreos deck, like 1,000%. I always pick one dude to keep draining for 3.
See?
really mean. I will say this though. I'm glad there's no like attack trigger or combat damage trigger. It's just you can just let that sit if you don't want to swing in, and it still goes off.
I know.
I think it's pretty good.
For Patron of Chaos, he's not chaotic at all. He is so predictable and straightforward in what he does.
Yeah, you really. Is.
How close are we to doing Oops All Rakdos deck?
Pretty close. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I saw this card and I was like, oh, dude, my demon tribal needs to start kicking off here soon. Turns out, for those of you out there who play that, I don't know how you do. God, I tried so many times to build the demon tribal deck. Your mana value, like the mana curve starts at 6. I don't know how you do it.
You just sit around and say, I'm not a threat. And then you are a threat really quickly. I don't know. Let's move on to the grades. Rakdos, Patron of Chaos. I'm giving this, once again, still middle of the road because it is 6 mana in Rakdos, a C.
Nope. Not as my commander, because this is better in the 99, so it's a D.
Rakdos player himself, Dave, gives it an A. Or a what?
I can't. I don't know. This isn't the best Rakdos. This isn't my favorite Rakdos. This might be my favorite Rakdos art. I'm gonna give it a C, which is really weird. This card draws 2 extra cards per turn.
Yeah, I'm shocked, dude. Card draw wins get like, and I'm giving it a B.
Well, Rakdos, Patron of Chaos, gets the average grade of a C. Up next is Teysa, Opulent Oligarch. It is 1 a white and a black for a 2/3 legendary creature, Human Advisor. It's got Death Touch, and it says at the beginning of your end step, investigate for each opponent who lost life this turn. It also says whenever a clue you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, create a 1/1 white and black spirit creature token with flying. This ability triggers only once each turn. Bummer of a sentence.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's probably the worst sentence ever made in Magic.
I mean, sorcery speed is.
Okay,
I
you're
know.
right,
I
you're right.
take sorcery speed over once per turn.
Yeah.
I don't know, because usually things that say once per turn doesn't let you break the game. That's
Here you go. Here you go. Which one here is worse? You win the game once per turn, or you win the game, activate only at sorcery speed.
Wait, I'm winning the game regardless?
Yeah, which one is worse?
I feel like
That doesn't
I'm
make
winning
any sense. Time out. You can't win the game once per turn.
That's my point, though. It's like that is the absolute best ability that you could possibly dream of, and you take once per turn 100% of the time over only at sorcery speed.
Whatever. Let's talk about this card. What do you think of Teysa, Shane, Mr. Spirit Guy?
I mean, I'm Mr. Spirit Guy, but more than once per turn, dude. Also, I want to add some other colors to my spirits, but I don't know. I'm not
Yeah,
high on her, I'll tell you that right now.
Why can you only make one spirit? Why?
Why? I
Why
don't
don't
know.
you do multiple? Is
Because
it that broken?
Teysa's dead.
Every time you crack a clue, you can only make one. Sorry, you can only do that once.
Can I argue that it doesn't matter?
Argue
Why?
away, dude.
All right. So even if you are doing that, like Orzhov has a lot of like self-sacrifice. It does a lot of the aristocrat style of stuff. So like, say for example, you take advantage of that and you have a Meat Hook Massacre or the Bastion of Remembrance or Zulaport Cutthroat or like one of the many things that drain your opponents. You can make 3 clues because 3 opponents have lost life, and then you have 3 of your opponent's turns for you to just like do it again, and it provides you with the 1/1 for you to sacrifice.
Provides you with a 1/1 to sacrifice. I understand that, but I mean, do it more than once, Dave.
I don't think you need to.
I would love to.
This deck with a Marionette
Yeah.
Master or the oh my goodness, what is the other one? The 1 mana in black that whenever an artifact goes to the grave, it pings too. There's a lot of ways that you can just like kind of go nutty with this.
Once per turn.
No, you're triggering her like her clue thing. You're triggering that once per turn.
I know.
Or, I'm sorry, you're triggering her spirit thing once per turn. But like you can make a ton of clues with this pretty regularly.
3 a turn.
That is, I mean, yeah, I mean, like that is a lot.
Is it?
Well, I mean, it's only on your turn too, but like still, no. It is.
No,
I read sentences backwards. I'm sorry. You can cut me out. I don't care. It's
I'm never
only the beginning
cutting
of
you
your
out.
end step, and then it says lost life this turn. So like, I read that sentence backwards. My
know.
list Dexia is kicking in.
It's
What's the list,
okay.
Dex?
Teysa's still not good.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Unless Steven is, then I'm a fan.
I'm a massive fan.
I'm a fan
Go
now,
ahead.
dude.
Go ahead. Tell me.
I mean, this card, David pretty much said it all. I mean, there are so many aristocrat strategies to play with this and it doesn't even have to be just the artifacts or the enchantments. There are so many Blood Artist, Corpse Knight, other things like that. When things die, leave the battlefield. Falconwrath Noble is a really good one too. I mean, there are so many things that you can use, and then you can just go super wide and then whittle down your board down to 1 spirit or just Teysa, and then just drain somebody for 10, 15, 20. I mean, the ceiling is super high here, and really it does come down just a touch because it is once each turn, but you got to think about it too. Like, those clues are also card draw for you. And you can hold up removal in your hand until the end step of somebody's turn, crack that clue, get that 1/1, and then to do that damage to then make another clue. There's a lot to do here, and it's just I really do agree with David. I think this card is really fun.
You're probably going to put an Ashnod's Altar in this deck, and you know what that does?
100%.
That sacrifices and gives you the mana to crack a clue.
Or you could put a KCI in the deck and sack a clue that way.
Ooh, you could.
Yeah.
Don't know if you want to.
I don't know if I want to go the KCI route.
If you don't have the mana and you want a 1/1 on your opponent's turn, you could do the KCI route.
For everyone at home, Clark Clan Ironworks.
Mm-hmm. Let's go ahead and move on to the grades. Teysa from me. I've been doing a lot of middle of the road, and I still think it's middle of the road. It's a C.
It's a B.
I'm gonna go with a B as well. I think she's quietly better than what she reads.
Well, she's pretty loud when it comes to once per turn. I'm gonna say C.
Teysa, opulent oligarch, is going to get the average grade of a B. Next up is the Pride of Whole Clade. It is 10 and a green for a 2/15 legendary creature, Crocodile Elk Turtle. It says this spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total toughness of creatures you control. It's got Defender, and it has another ability to pay 2 and 2 blue. It says until end of turn, target creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw cards equal to its toughness, and can attack as though it didn't have Defender. Now, as someone that has an Arcades deck, this
Talking
is a
about me?
really good include. I have one too, Steven. This is a really good include in that deck. Do I want to run this over Arcades? Probably not.
Hell yeah, dude. Simic.
Or Arcades gives you that extra color too.
Mm-hmm.
But Simic is better, Steven. We know that.
Over
Can-
one extra color on top of
Over
Simic?
Bant?
Yeah.
That's Simic with white. It's Simic, and you also have Path to Exile and Swords to Plowshares.
I do like those cards.
I mean, yeah, Teferi's Protection, Smothering Tithe, like
Keep talking.
They're
this
okay.
This is a fun card. This is
I think it's a great card
but like I said, why would you run it over the Defender God?
because I want to
Arcades?
draw 15 cards, Hunter.
You
I
can
don't-
do that with this card in that deck.
I don't know.
I want to do that reliably, though. At the
I don't
helm?
know if
You're not
I
going
don't
to
know
do
if
it
this makes
reliably,
it.
man.
What do you mean?
It's
You
a
have to pay
15.
4 mana to get this to attack.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
And then at that point, it still doesn't have trample.
So
So you're
what?
swinging with a 3/15. I'll just block with a 1/1.
I'll give it trample then.
Okay,
You're get-
cool. I'll
Make it
swords it
unblockable.
then.
Give it a rogue's
I'll,
pass.
I'll
This-
give it hexproof then.
look, this is fantastic in support. At the helm, this is kind of rough. It's not doing it for me at the helm. This card is like it's no. No.
Talk about the Crocodile Elk Turtle though. It looks crazy.
It does, and this might make my Elk tribal deck. But even
tribal.
then,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm still on this is a good support piece for Arcades, but other than that, I don't think I'm running this over Arcades. And I understand what you're saying, Shane. It's really cool. You'll be able to draw 15 cards if you get this with like a Rogue's Passage or something that gives this unblockable.
Yep.
That's a lot of card draw.
That's
But you'll have to-
card.
So,
But after
yeah,
a
I mean,
board wipe,
think
this
about
thing
it like
costs
this.
A lot.
I mean, it does cost a lot. But if we're thinking about the Rogue's Passage route, I got to pay 4 mana to make this trigger happen. And I got to pay another 4 mana.
Like I said,
So I'm paying 8 mana for
I don't see-
15 cards?
I don't see that. Yeah,
like I
that's
said.
a great value. I don't see the problem here.
the 8
Yeah.
mana investment is the problem. This thing still has Defender. I
No,
don't
it
know,
doesn't. No,
man.
without the
Well,
four
okay.
mana.
If you dump the 4 into it, then yes, it loses the Defender. But if you're just Rogue's Passaging, then this card still has Defender. Let me change my sequencing of words here. So like
As the resident Arcades player,
Sorry, Hunter.
there are other
What's your
ways
question to
to
me,
get rid
Steven?
of Defender.
Yes, there are. You're right.
I'm ready to move on to grades.
All right, let's move on to the grades. What do you got, David?
I think that if you are looking at this card for one of those like toughness matters decks and you want to put it in the 99, this is like a no-brainer that you do. But at the helm of a deck, I just don't see it. I'm going to give it a D.
Yeah, I can't go that low. As much as I said this is a better support piece than it is a commander, I still think drawing that many cards is a good effect because you can give this effect to a different creature with Defender if it was bigger and it had flying. I don't know. You could do different things to it, so I'm gonna go with a C.
I'll go next. I'm not shy. I think what I'm looking at here, boys, is a 1 mana 2/15 that's gonna draw me 15 cards. I'm giving this a B.
You know, Shane, I want to give this a really low grade, just to kind of bring that B down.
That's not how this game works.
You're right. How the game works is at the helm of the deck, what do we feel like? And with Arcades being the number one defender commander, this is a D.
The Pride of Whole Clade gets the average grade of a C. This next card is Tolzamir, Midnight's Light. It's 2, a green and 2 white for a 3/2 legendary creature elf scout. It's got lifelink. And it says, when Tolzamir, Midnight's Light, enters the battlefield, create Voja, Fenstalker, a legendary 5/5 green and white wolf creature token with trample. It also says, whenever a wolf you control attacks, if Tolzamir attacked this combat, target creature an opponent controls blocks that wolf this combat if able. Dave, you love Voja, right? I mean, yeah.
Look, I have underrated Tolzamir every single time this card has been printed, and I have died to it every single time. So maybe it's just like my bias in that I don't like this card. I don't think it's good. I don't think that it's I don't like it at all. It's still gonna kill me because I'm still gonna underestimate it. This card is better than what I think it is. I admit that whatever my grade is wrong.
At least you understand
Yeah,
it now.
I'm pretty sure your grade's gonna be right.
Yeah, I'm not that high on this card either. I mean, I get it. You're making the wolf, and then whenever you swing this with the wolf, you're causing an opponent to block the wolf. And if you pump the wolf, then you can potentially kill something with the wolf. I'm saying wolf a lot.
And your voice is inflecting up, 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 up,
Yeah.
up, up.
Yeah. Up.
Do you need to pump the wolf? The wolf here is a 5/5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, this triggers on all of your wolves. So if you have other wolves,
Hey, 5
So-
mana for 2 bodies, and one must be blocked. The one that's not being blocked is lifelink. So put the pants on the lifelinker.
Yeah, I mean, you can do just like a full army of wolves and cause your opponent to block all the wolves. Possible. I
Change
don't know.
things.
Or, yeah, which are still wolves.
I don't know. Aragorn's pretty sick, dude. So
Let's just go ahead and move on to the grades. Tolzamir, Midnight's Light for me. I'm giving it a D.
David, what does your heart say?
I've died to Tolzamir enough. I'm gonna say that this card is so much better than what it reads. I'm gonna say this is a B. I think this is actually fairly repeatable removal, and you have a commander that's just like sneaking by to deal damage.
Are you really giving it a B, or are you trolling me?
I am actually genuinely giving this a B.
Okay.
I would like to retract my statement saying that David's grade was going to be correct.
What's the correct
This
statement,
card,
Steve?
it's a D.
Well, you know what? I like where David's at, and I like where Steven and Hunter are at. We're gonna go right between them two, and we're gonna make a C.
All right, well, Tolzamir, Midnight's Light gives the average grade of a C. A B. Next up, we have Tomik, Wielder of Law. It's 1 a white and a black for a 2/4 legendary creature human advisor. It's got affinity for planeswalkers. It also has flying and vigilance. And it says whenever an opponent attacks with creatures, if 2 or more of those creatures are attacking you and or planeswalkers you control, that opponent loses 3 life and you draw a card. If you guys wanted to see a deck tech on this deck, we have one on the channel made by David. It is in the description down below. So, David, we'll start with you since you made the deck on this. What do you think of Tomik as a commander?
Tomik is really weird. Like, you want to punish your opponents. So like there's a part of him where it's like you want to incentivize your planeswalkers to be attacked so that he's triggering and drawing you cards and then also causing that life loss. The problem, however, being is that it's not, I feel like, enough to dissuade your opponents from attacking your planeswalkers, or your planeswalkers are still probably going to end up dying, and you drawing a card to replace them is probably just not good enough. I would have liked to have seen maybe a different tax route with Tomik. I think he's cool. I like affinity for planeswalkers. I don't think that this is a commander that's going to die much. But I mean, if you wanted to check it out, I do think that he actually does work really well with board wipes because he's consistently going to be cheap, and most board wipes actually don't hit planeswalkers. So if you do go down that route, like this is a commander that can continue to just be recast if you need him to. And there is going to reach a certain point in the game where you just have enough planeswalkers in play where your opponents just aren't going to be able to deal with you.
I mean,
Yeah.
David, people love attacking planeswalkers, no matter what. So there you go.
I mean, I guess so. But I agree with David. I think this is an interesting card. I kind of like it. Tomek is very different.
Yeah. So when I saw this card, I loved it because I was like, Tomek, Wielder of Law, 1 a white and a black for a 2/4 legendary creature, human advisor, affinity for planeswalker, and I stopped caring
Why?
because planeswalker matters to me. I saw Planeswalker Party and it was awful. And I don't care for planeswalkers. I rarely put them in my decks. I not a fan of this and what it wants to do. I don't care.
Well, I don't know if the 3 life loss and the card draws enough, but seems fun.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing is that like I don't think that is enough. Like I really do wish that Tomek actually did have more of like a ghostly prison effect where it was like in order for them to attack one of your planeswalkers they had to pay 2 or like lose life more than 3 because 3 is just not doing anything in a game of Commander.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and move on to the grids. We'll start with you, Dave. What are we giving Tomek?
I think Tomek is really interesting. I like that the route that they took with him is a little bit different. I'm actually still going to give him a D, though. I'm not super high on Tomek.
I'm going to go 1 above. I still think the deck tech you made it better than maybe what the card does. It is going to be a C.
I'm gonna go 2 below. I'm gonna give it an F.
I like what he's doing here, man. So I'm still interested. I'm gonna give it a C as well.
Tomek, Wielder of Law, gets the average grade of a D. Moving on to Trostani, 3 Whispers. It is a green or white, and white for a 4/4 legendary creature Dryad. It's got an ability where you could pay 1 and a green. Target creature gains Death Touch until end of turn. Another ability you could pay a green or white. Target creature gains Vigilance until end of turn. And one more ability that you could pay 2 and a white for target creature gains Double Strike until end of turn. Quick, easy, to the point. Doing some Selesnya things. Pretty basic, right, though, Steven?
No.
I mean, not pretty basic at all. I mean, it's 3 pretty good abilities on this card. I actually really do enjoy it. I mean, 3 mana for a 4/4 is solid already. And then I can make a creature gain Death Touch, and I'm not in black? What? Poison Dart Frog?
It also doesn't have to be one of your creatures.
Yeah.
I love the chaos this card causes.
Yo, this
That's
should
true.
be the chaos card of fucking Rakdos. Jesus.
3
Well,
mana.
it's
Spoiler
this game,
alert.
so.
Spoiler
3
alert, this
mana
was
for the politics?
This was the killer of Teysa.
Whoa, dude, come on. Big spoiler.
That's been out for a couple weeks now.
I'm literally kidding.
I just love so much the fact that you could be like, hey, dude, if you don't attack me, I can give your card Death Touch.
Or double
All
strike.
right. and then you swing it at somebody else, and I was like, hey, Shane, he's coming at you. Do you want your creature to have double strike?
Well, I think that
it's
like
quite
that.
sick.
What's that card? I'm pretty sure it's in white, where I think it's something duelist. I can't remember what it's called, but you can give a creature double strike, and it doesn't have to be your own, and it's at the beginning of each combat. So it's very political, and it kind of reminds me of this. And I mean, I agree with David. I love the chaos that can ensue, especially in Selesnya, which is super weird.
Yeah, I know it's I think it's a 3 or 4 mana enchantment that you're talking about. So it's at the beginning of each combat, target creature gains double strike.
And my favorite part about this, hey, you want your creature to get Death Touch, Vigilance, and Double Strike?
If you give him that much mana, give him 6 mana.
You know what this is really good against? This is
What's
really good against Anzrag because you can give it double strike and Death Touch, and then Anzrag just dies.
Hey, you want that 1/1 to get Death Touch against Anzrag that doesn't have trample?
Give it trample.
You could. No, actually, you can't. This doesn't do that.
Give it indestructible. I'm talking
This
about
doesn't do
against. I'm
anything.
talking about against Trostani.
I know. I just love this card so much.
Yeah, it's a fun one. Don't get me wrong. I just kind of said that at the beginning just to cause a little bit of a debate there, but I am completely on board with you guys. I think this card is very powerful, and the chaos factor behind giving your opponent's things death touch, it really is pretty cool because your opponents have to think about who they're going to attack, and if you're beating up on someone, then that opponent that has Trostani can be like, no more beating up on him. I'm going to give him death touch to kill your giant creature you're beating on him with.
You also don't even need the political factor of it. If your opponents are just swinging at each other and you don't like the one creature that is blocking, I mean, just give the other creature death touch. This card is fantastic. I really do enjoy it, and I kind of want to hear Shane's opinion on it because Shane, you love cards with 3 people on it, right? You play Centriplic.
Oh, I was like, where are we going now with this one? Yeah, no, I do.
he's
Very
he's
much a
the
different
he's
card,
the
but
three people on a
out of the
card
3
tribal.
people, hey, that's me, dude. I was just gonna say that it reminds me a lot of the king. What's that king's name, Dave?
Kenrith?
Kenrith. Just because,
Kenrith.
like, in the same sense where would there be multiple games where you play with David and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna give your guys haste now," and I'm like, "What? I forgot that happens to everybody. What the what?" It's the same kind of thing where you can like use your modes on anything, and I don't know. I really like this card, dude. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, let's move on. Okay,
Wait,
sorry,
real
go
quick
ahead.
before we move on to grades, I'm over here oogling the abilities of this card so much I didn't even process. This is 3 mana for a 4/4.
I
I thought
know.
this thing was like a 2/2. God, this is so good.
Yeah, Steven said that. Let's go ahead and move on to the grades. What are we giving this card, Shane?
With my chest, all I can say is I'm honestly gonna give this an A.
Oh, I'm not gonna go that high. I'm gonna go with a B.
I'm gonna go with Shane here. I'm really high on this card. I'm gonna give it an A.
I have fallen in love with this card every time that I don't know. The more that we talk about this card, the more that I like this. At this point, I'm at an A. I can't get much higher.
Trostani 3 Whispers gets the average grade of an A.
I think it's our first A, guys.
It is the first A
Let's
of the entire
go.
set.
Moving on to Vanifar Evolved Enigma. It is 2, a green and a blue. For a 3/4 legendary creature, Elf Ooze Wizard. It says at the beginning of combat on your turn, choose one. You can cloak a card from your hand or put a +1/+1 counter on each colorless creature you control.
God damn, this card's good.
You like this card?
Yeah.
Why?
Simic.
Because it's Simic.
That's it?
No, I mean I love cards that don't have the attack stipulation. So the beginning of combat on your turn, choose one. It's a banger. I mean, I like that. I like that a lot. Cloak a card from your hand, put it face down. It's a 2/2. But hey, guess what?
What?
Maybe it's not.
Yeah. Hey, but the 2/2 also is gonna have Ward 2. That's important.
Mhm.
This is kind of like cheating out cards, right? Like I get that it's only gonna be a 2/2, and then you gotta pay again to flip it, but you're kind of cheating it out into play.
I guess.
I mean, with the fact that you can turn face down creatures face up, there was a lot of mechanics like that for the set. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you
I
could
feel-
just turn it face up for its mana cost.
I feel like I look at this card and I go such a like drastically different route than what you just mentioned.
Cool. What do you do?
This is Simic Affinity, where I'm just like I'm gonna dump my hand. I'm gonna make my little artifact creatures come out. I'm gonna have them just get gigantic by putting a +1/+1 counter on all of them. And then I'm gonna like this is my harden scales. This is my proliferate with my blue green support. Like this is my doubling season to get extra +1/+1 counters on my things.
This is my Crater of Behemoth.
This is all of my Eldrazi.
Like I'm probably not playing Eldrazi in this, but I am 100% like I am playing an Ornithopter in this deck.
Yeah.
Huh. You're
And an
never picking
Arcbound
the top
Ravager.
card, huh? Okay.
I'm literally never picking the top card. If I am picking the top card, it's because I drew like a land and I need a creature.
I kind of like that idea though. Hey, you mentioned a couple cards ago that we played Modern, and I did play Affinity in Modern, so
So yeah, hit you in the sweet
you
spot.
kind of did. You said the Infinity word, and it perked my ears up, and I was like, huh, never thought
Huh.
about that, huh?
Love that, huh? Let's go ahead and move on to the grades. We'll start with the guy that loves Affinity. That would be Shane.
You know, dude,
Shane.
I just realized not only do I love Affinity, but the card's Simic. Like, do I give this an A? No, okay. Honestly, I think I give it a B. I'm gonna give it a B.
I'm still not that high on it. I'm gonna give it a C.
You get this an A?
No, I
Oh.
give it a B.
Oh, my heart, my heart. I say that, but it is a B.
I'm also gonna give her a B. I like Vannifar a lot.
Vannifar Evolved Enigma gets the average grade of a B.
Boom.
Moving on to Voja, Jaws of the Conclave. It is 2, a red, a green, and a white for a 5/5 legendary creature wolf. It's got Vigilance, it's got Trample, it's got Ward 3. And it says whenever Voja, Jaws of the Conclave attacks, put X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, where X is the number of elves you control. Then draw a card for each wolf you control. Pretty bonkers. If you guys haven't already seen it, we also have a deck tech on this card on the channel as well, created by David once again. If you guys wanted to see that, look in the description. There's a link. So we will start once again with the guy that made the deck tech. David, you absolutely love Voja.
Ward 3 is enough to make it real. And who doesn't love card draw? And just like absolutely annihilating your opponents as far as just how big your board gets. This is Craterhoof Behemoth in your command zone. This is a card that like it is really difficult to deal with him once he's in play because of the Ward 3. So I feel like this is a commander you need to counter. So like you can't even have him like point the jaws in your direction. You need to deal with him before he actually like becomes a threat. If you give him that opportunity, I think you probably are just like gonna die.
So don't try to fool the people at home, bud. You said card draw. You're drawing one card in this deck.
No, you're not.
You have 2 wolves in this deck.
No. You play changelings with this?
They're wolves and elves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
no,
then
but
all
you
of a
don't drop no
sudden,
elves.
no. You put
Nexus.
yeah, Maskwood Nexus is also another
All
card
right,
that's
well-
included. Spoilers. It's in the upgrade the deck tech that I did. But like, if you have 5 creatures in play, you draw 5 cards and put 5 +1/+1 counters on your things. Your commander at this point is now a 10/10 with Trample and Vigilance, and it has built-in protection.
That's like Christmas Land, though. I love this card, David, but you played it
I
how many
don't-
times and you didn't draw that many cards.
I played it once in paper against you
Yeah.
and nearly killed you. I
Not
think I
from your
did
draws.
kill you that
not
game.
from your draw. I'm just telling you. This is elf ball that you built. That's all you did. You built a crazy elf deck with this.
That is what this is, though, for the most part. Like, this is an elf ball deck. Like, it is very easy for Voja to hit that critical 21, and the entire time he's also drawing you cards, and he's difficult to deal with.
Plus,
Plus,
I think Voja is fantastic.
plus, like, if you are playing elf ball, if he dies, it literally doesn't matter. You have enough mana to cast him 2, 3, 4 times over.
You got elves.
See,
I wasn't arguing
David's
that it's
over
bad card.
here.
This card's great.
David's over here trying to be like me, make a Naya deck. But, well, I'll let him have it.
Look, this is good enough where I built a Naya deck. I think that alone should speak wonders.
Yeah, because Naya's good. What can you say?
I want to hear from Steven. Steven's been way too quiet, and he's sitting back there smiling.
I mean, it's a great card. Like I think all the points have been hit. I mean, whether you're building this, with elves in mind or wolves in mind. I mean, an Oops All Changelings is super fun to me just because it is literally the counters and also the card draw. And that is so fun. And just with 3 creatures in play, this gets out of hand very quickly. Because you don't even have to swing with the 3 creatures. You can just continue to let them grow.
I will say this. It is a bummer that Wizards made one of the best legendary creatures from this set, only to be found randomly in a pre-release bundle. It should have been more widely available. That's what's kind of driving up this price. So,
But like, I don't think that this card is like actually super scarce because of that. I think that this is probably to be treated the same way as like a buy box promo, where it's actually more available because of how it's released.
Maybe. I know it's hovering around $15, but I think I don't know. It was just interesting that it decided to just as a pre-release only. That's my only thing. But let's go ahead and move on to the grades of this card itself. Voja, David, what are you giving it?
This is an A. Go down to the link below. Watch that deck tech. This deck is so much fun.
Yeah, I'm with David. This is 1,000% an A.
This is Naya, boys. This is an A from me.
Yeah, I've seen it in action. It's pretty mean. It's an A.
Look at that. Voja, Jaws of the Conclave, gets the average grade of an A. And the final card of the video, it is Yaris, Roar of the Old Gods. It is 2, a red and a green for a 4/4 legendary creature, Centaur Druid. It says other creatures you control have haste. And it says whenever one or more face down creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. It also says whenever a face down creature you control dies, return it to the battlefield face down under its owner's control. If it's a permanent card, then turn it face up. We have another
Banger.
interesting card here with face down creatures, but they don't always die. I think that's pretty cool. They just come back flipped up.
Well, I know Hunter loves this card because when I saw him open
Gruel?
it, he thought it was Anzrag, and you're like, nah.
True story. I wish I had an Anzrag, but I opened this instead. Not as cool. Steven, what do you think about this card?
It's fantastic. It's Gruel, which is +1. We got other creatures you control have haste. There's another plus right there. Draw cards. That's another plus. And then your creatures don't really die. And even if it's not a creature, it's a land. You still get it. Plus. I didn't say any negative.
Yeah, you are going to have to find ways to do the flip thing, as unfortunately the card itself doesn't do the thing it wants to do, which is something we always harp on, is something we want, especially you, Shane, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a bummer. And it also doesn't give itself haste, which I think is another downfall of this card, even though technically it doesn't need haste for its other abilities. I don't know. I think this card is just okay, in my opinion.
I don't know. I think that this card is really solid, like what you guys already mentioned. I mean, this kind of dissuades your opponents from actually wanting to block your things that are face down, because then they're going to be able to draw cards. I'm sorry, not because they're going to be able to draw cards, but because they're just going to be able to flip them over and, like, surprise, there's an Eldrazi underneath. I guess that's probably worst case scenario. You're not always going to be able to do that, but, like, you could be flipping into anything, so have fun with it. The other thing, too, is that, like, if they choose not to flip into anything and just take the damage, you're going to draw a card, which is the most powerful thing that you can be doing in Magic.
Yeah, what I think is crazy is they never go away. Like, even if it's not a permanent card, it still comes back. Always.
Or
Right?
just exile it.
Whenever a face down creature you control dies, you return it face down. It just
Yeah, so they don't let it die.
cool.
You have to exile the face down card. You're gonna blind exile something. I don't think you're ever gonna do that. I don't think I'm ever going to path your disguised creature.
Mm-hmm.
I might board wipe it, and then I'm in for a lot of fucking hurt.
Yeah, because they don't go away.
I guess we have to just kill the commander.
True.
Yeah, so you know what? Farewell is a good card. Play that.
Farewell is a great card, so is Sunfall. Let's go ahead and move on to the grades for this final card. We'll kick it off with Steven. What are we giving yours?
I really wanted to give this card an A, but I said a bunch of positives and I was really happy. And then Hunter pooped on my dreams and was just like, the card doesn't do what you wanted to do in the card. And then I was like, oh, well, that's a B.
I like how I dissuaded you from an A, but I'm even going lower. It's a C for me.
The Toyota Yaris is gonna get a B from me.
Toyota Yaris.
I was gonna say, we're talking about cars now, dude. I'll give the car a B. No, Yeah, I'll give it a B.
You say car. All right. Well, that average grade for Yaris Roar of the Old Gods is going to be a B. And that is going to do it for us today. If you liked this video, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already so you're not missing out on any of the cool content we're making. If you made it this far in the video, this has been a long video. Comment down below saying, I made it. Just want to know.
We're gonna have no comments on this video, dude.
Also, comment down below if you agree with our grades, if you disagree with these grades. Always interested to hear what you guys have to say on all of these cards. And in the description, you will find links not only to those deck texts we talked about during the video, but also to our Instagram, our TikTok, and our Twitter. That's @GuysThatMagic for each one. Follow us on those to keep up to date with everything else that we got going on the screen right now. Those are all of the names of our current Patreon subscribers. Thank you guys so much for being a subscriber to our Patreon. It means the world to us. If you guys wanted to see what they see, check the description for the link to our Patreon. Support us even more than you already are to see some exclusive content that you do not see here on YouTube. And until the next video, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Later.
Bye.
Bye bye.